Capital for entrepreneurs, growth entrepreneurs, business builders, it's just broken. Have you ever been frustrated by the ability to get capital, to be able to easily find capital for the reasons and the necessities that you're looking for in a way that easily fits within your business model, to be able to grow and accelerate the things that you're doing? Or has capital been a pain in the, you know what, in a way that has just caused bureaucracy, in a way that it's just friction, and everything has trade-offs. It's just not easy. It's never there when you need it. Um, it's frustrating. I've had to deal with some things today that just reminded me exactly how passionate I am and why I'm so excited about finding an alternative way, really an entrepreneurial way, to work with capital in a way that it's aligned with revenue, and in a way, in a way that is aligned with all of the stakeholders. You see, capital, for the most part, it's not good. It's mercenary. It's really the golden rule. He who has the gold makes the rules. And it's not good for entrepreneurs. And we're either begging or we're put in situations where we're having to make decisions that are just not great for us or for our business. And so we do what we have to do. All entrepreneurs and business owners do. But there is a better way. And one of the things that I've been studying really for the last 10 years is the advent of revenue-based financing. And I'm not talking about just like merchant financing or cash advance, things like that. But I'm talking about, instead of a straight line principal and interest amortizing loan, to be able to have capital that's deployed in a way that can be paid back as that investment sits in the business and is put to use to create something new and new streams of revenue. What's great about that is once the new revenue is going, the entrepreneur doesn't have to give up future ownership of the company. And that's the other big, huge trade-off that happens is entrepreneurs, many times when they need capital, they have to trade equity. Well, it's terrible for most entrepreneurs because the value of the equity is so low now compared to what it will be in the future. And that trade-off is just really a bargain with the devil, unfortunately. And it's very mercenary. And there's really not alignment between the angel investor or the venture capital in most parts, or in most cases. There's just not great alignment with the entrepreneur because they have different goals. The investor wants to get their money in, deploy it quickly. They want to look for bottom line profit. They're looking for an exit. They're looking for an exit multiple. Well, an entrepreneur who's looking to grow a business long term, it doesn't really work. If they're not looking to exit in the next 2 to 3 to 5 years, it doesn't really work. And so there's just always there's a lot of capital there, but there's just not very good choices, and there's not very good mechanisms to utilize capital for entrepreneurs. There's another problem, though, that entrepreneurs have, and it's one that I've faced, and when I did face it, it was really very foreign to me. And that's, what do you do when you actually start to have capital as a business, but you can't deploy it? So on one hand, we need capital for our business, for the day-to-day, for operations, for cash flow, and the things that we need to keep our business running, to invest in inventory, to invest in marketing and sales, and all of those things that we need to do. And that's great. Once we start to throw off cash and actually have cash reserves, we have something that could be really valuable. It's not something that we can necessarily use in our own business, and it's not really something we can just invest in others because there's no mechanism for it. There's no way for an entrepreneur who has cash to be able to deploy that cash and get a good return on it, and yet keep it safe, be able to have it in a timely manner when they need it. There's just so many components that go into that. So it's very, very frustrating because you either don't have cash and you need it, or you have cash but you can't deploy it, and so you have to put it in the bank or something where it's just getting a less than 1% return, and it's frustrating. All of those together, combined with just the last 25 years of being undercapitalized all the time and having to figure out how to work around the system that's really designed to maximize return for everybody else except for the business owner and the practice builder and the entrepreneur. So we're really focused right now on accounting because accounting is the language of business, but accounting to be able to help business owners with capital and finance and the ability to really understand and align their financial system, their accounting system, to provide dynamic guidance, to be able to provide acceleration accounting, if you will, to help entrepreneurs really understand how to be able to get capital and deploy capital, and then ultimately to have capital is the lifeblood of your business. So accounting is the language of business, capital is the lifeblood of your business, and you put them together in a way that allows for capital to be deployed inside of a business in a way that it's easy to understand exactly how this can create value within the business. And then the goal is to have that second problem, which is now we have excess cash. And then there's the opportunity, because the opportunity for the excess cash fits great with the opportunity for the entrepreneur who does not have the cash or needs the cash. And you know what? It could actually be the same entrepreneur on both sides. What's missing is a true marketplace or a true platform or true ability to connect in a way that provides risk mitigation, in a way that provides safety, in a way that provides the ability for capital to be able to be brought in and deployed in a way that's very aligned with all the stakeholders. So for the entrepreneur, they're not having to make deals with the devil to be able to just have enough capital to do the things they want to do. At the same time, the ability for entrepreneurs who are growing and actually have cash to be able to deploy that cash in a way that has safety and protection, and possibly not even to be used in cash, but used as leverage for other lending or for security. You think about what the SBA does, and the SBA, all it does is it provides a level of security to banks for banks to say, okay, we'll loan you. And that's what an SBA loan is. For all intents and purposes, the SBA is not putting in money. It's just giving the bank or the institution a little bit of comfort. There are certainly ways that we can mirror and do the same thing within entrepreneurial capital. So the design for what we're building with Kahuna Capital is all about entrepreneur centric. The focus for the perspective of the entrepreneur, from the perspective of the entrepreneur, designed specifically for entrepreneurial needs. And if you'll permit me one more E-word, in an entrepreneurial design and fashion. Now, there are a lot of components, and I probably missed several in this, but ultimately, there are different levels of capital. Sometimes it's needed, and businesses who can easily get traditional bank loans, great, go for it. That works for some because of either the assets that they have or the ability to show a number of other things that will let them be bankable. And in that case, that's fantastic. Most businesses, unfortunately, are not in that category. So they need to look for alternative financing. And there is a ton of capital out there. Everything from PayPal to Cabbage to American Express and Merchant Cash Advance and all kinds. I mean, I literally, and I'm not joking, I had 7 different approaches today to me about some sort of capital program, direct lending, first position, second position. I mean, it's enough to make your head spin. Now, there's always a catch. There's always something that just doesn't make it attractive. And that something pulls that out of alignment to where their goals are not the same as my goals. And ultimately, what we want to be able to do, and the reason we started Kahuna Accounting in the first place, was to be able to have an ability to look inside of a business in a way that we can communicate with that business owner about what's really working and not working in the business, so that when we provide capital or can connect them with capital, we can really help them make better decisions aligned with their financial system. Most business owners do not have clarity in their business. They are really freaked out. The number one question we get, bar none, is, am I doing okay? They don't have clarity. And that lack of clarity causes confusion. And that confusion creates challenges with decision making and with alignment with your team. And so as we work with entrepreneurs to help them provide and find dynamic guidance from their accounting, not just as a compliance or a bureaucratic tool to tell you how you did months ago, but to tell you how you're doing right now. And if you stay on the path you're going, what that's going to look like. So dynamic guidance accounting is really entrepreneur accounting. And then as we can start to connect capital with that, and we don't have it all put together right now, for sure, but we're starting to do some testing with our own business and with some models that are much more aligned with revenue, to be able to find some ways of getting some capital, smaller amounts of capital, but use it very strategically in a way that can be employed to create new cash flow and new systems. Then to be able to take that cash flow and be able to pay this initial money off with a significant return. I mean, we're doing a program right now that's a 2x return. So we're basically getting some capital. And again, it's not a huge amount of capital, but we're going to use that and we're going to create a significant cash flow stream in a new venture or within an existing venture, but a new venture or new opportunity within our existing business that we didn't have before. But we're not having to give up equity in that. We're just going to have to deploy this capital. We're going to pay it back as the new revenue comes. So it's not just some built-in expense that we have to pay back every day or every week or every month. We won't start paying this back until this new profit center pays off. And as that new profit center pays off and it kicks off cash, well, then we can basically take out that initial debt, pay a very healthy 2x return. So it's 100%. And we're happy about that. It doesn't feel like, oh, we're being taken advantage of, because now if we're borrowing money and having to pay 100% back to be able to make payroll or to pay back yesterday's bills, well, that's no bueno. That's not good. But if we can deploy capital, and instead of having the trade-off of equity and having to dilute the business or to have different cap tables or the confusion that happens as you start to get into some of those more complex situations, to be able to instead say, we're going to borrow this money, we're going to employ it or deploy it, as it were, into cash flow opportunities that will have significant opportunity for return. The risk is minimal. If we miss, well, we can redeploy that capital, and it may take a little bit longer. The alignment, though, is we're not paying back this loan or this capital deployment until we start to have success and a new profit center is kicking off cash flow. Once we pay that off, we're done. And we have a continuing, ongoing stream of revenue. Lather, rinse, repeat. There's a number of things. Capital right now for entrepreneurs is broken. There is a better way, and we're out to find it. Not only that, but we're our own beta test monkey, if you will, to test some of these things. We are certainly not a normal business, but at the same time, we have always taken care of our obligations, and we're ready to test and try new things. The experiments that we do right now are just entrepreneurial recipes. When I was growing up, my mom had a plaque in our kitchen that said, "Even my failures are edible." It's kind of how we feel about this. There are a lot of things that we want to learn, and the only way to learn is to test and to try. And we're in a new era. There's so many things have changed. There's a new science of entrepreneurship or dynamic guidance entrepreneurship. There's new technologies. I mean, the ability for the apps and the cloud and everything to be connected APIs in a way that's never been before able to do that. Then the different technologies meet up with the different methodologies. So technology is first and the new methodology is second. There's so many new ways and approaches to doing things. And it's enough to drive an entrepreneur crazy. The ability to sometimes see the forest for the trees is a little bit challenging, but that's what we specialize in, is to help entrepreneurs understand what's available and then to make strategic choices within that. So as you have new technologies, new methodologies, what pulls it all together and what really makes us different and unique is our commitment, our rock solid vision and belief on the vision through, from, for, by, and within the entrepreneur. I mean, we call it entrepreneur centric, but it's really the focus from and for the perspective of the entrepreneur. Most people look at entrepreneurs as a target. They're mercenaries. I mean, I hate to say it that way, but most people see entrepreneurs as great opportunities to make money from. And it's true. I mean, we employ a lot of people, we spend a lot of money, but for the most part, it's never from the perspective and of and for the entrepreneur. That's where things have to change. And that's where this ecosystem, this community, this marketplace, to be able to connect entrepreneurs for capital, by entrepreneurs, for entrepreneurs, to entrepreneurs, through entrepreneurs. Man, I wish entrepreneur was a little bit smaller word and not so many letters and syllables, but it is what it is. And that's the world that we live in. Learning, living, sharing the journey of entrepreneurship in life, business, and legacy. We achieve our victories through the victories of those we serve. That's Kahuna. That's our Kahunity, if you will, our community of entrepreneur, our ecosystem to help entrepreneurs from where they are now to where they want to be. Thank you.